we're live from our studios here in Kokomelemle on digital address GA0992539. This is your home of fearless, credible and independent journalism. Our lead stories this hour. Another young man alleged to have killed his girlfriend battles for his life after he allegedly attempted suicide by hanging himself, slitting his throat and stabbing his stomach. We're live in the Volta region as health workers race against time to keep him alive and police stand by to take him in. Jailed as primary school dropouts, discharged as an author and degree holder. You hear the story of Grass to Grace, which is not the usual cliche, but the title of a book of a now 46-year-old ex-convict. And later on in our Ghana Month series, 700 years, but on the verge of collapse, we'll take you to the Upper West, home of the popular black and white Nakori Mosque, which is still standing 700 years after it was built. And the Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation. Join us on DSTV 421, GoTV 144. We're streaming live on YouTube and our other social media handles. My name is Gifty Andopia, and this is the Pulse. You're welcome. Let me take you through the stories of this hour. Our people in Ho in the Volta region woke up to another murder or alleged murder involving lovers today. Jay Dodoi was reported to have allegedly murdered his girlfriend over unknown reasons. He later attempted to take his own life by hanging himself twice, slitting his throat and stabbing his stomach. He has been treated at the Volta Regional Hospital after he was arrested by the Ho Municipal Police Command. Let's hear the victim's mother as she recounted what happened.
Asking where I was, which I responded around town. I saw my daughter
Mama call Rubens, we are going to come and woman. Oh, sister, you let on the melon Tomon Giro. Oh, Genoya. Mommy, Maconion notice. Sako, sister, quit it, J. Jore Yoman. Tayola Mon, Kulama Pro. Get there to do. My hospital, my time to get out.
While the police consoled me and took her body away. The boy was my daughter's boyfriend. We started dating when they were JJs.
Elle voulait qu'on m'aide. Assis pour nous commencer. Faut ça. Non, que va yom. Non, que les assis pour nous d'aller, on va se là. Sister, pour aider la prime. Il y a des fonds. Il y a des va il est moto. Amérique va il est plus. Et quand les filles pour me comment kandu à mettre ton kandu pour pas. Ojo. Donc on parti, on va trouver le monde les filles. T'as mis pas de quatre pour vivre mais 20. On la cité de Fuji, on s'en combien pour la cité de Fuji. Le nous.
Fred Kwame Asari is standing by on the phone right now. Hello, Fred. Wrap up for us what this woman says.
Well, so literally what she mentioned that at about 12 midnight this morning, some three ladies came to the house asking the door to the house of the deceased. They mentioned that the woman, the group of women who came there, one identified herself as the mother, the other said she was the younger sister of the boyfriend of the deceased, and then one other lady. So the three of them were asking where they would be able to locate Jay, the guy who allegedly murdered their girlfriend. So they directed them to the doorsteps of the deceased. So they went there, but they were not able to access the room, so they left. The landlady who narrated the story, she said she left them there. And then for about 10-20 minutes, she heard screams from that side of the house. She was there, but then she was not able to see anything. What she saw was that the three ladies who came asking for the doorstep of the the mother of the deceased, speak Mahama Kandu, and then they left. They were at the roadside when they saw some two guys passing by, and then they were discussing an issue. She didn't hear them, but then her kid mentioned to her that the guys were discussing that somebody is dead or somebody had died in their house. It was there that she realized that was why the lady screamed. So she used another access to where the lady stayed, the mother of the deceased stayed, and then that was when she saw the girlfriend of the guy lying in a pool of blood, and then she had her throat cut off. Her head was almost off the body. So that was when she also screamed. Later on, the two ladies returned with the police officer, and then they conveyed the body of the deceased to the Ho Chi Minh Hospital morgue, and then also took the guy to the Ho Chi Minh Hospital where he is receiving treatment at the moment. I am told he's being operated on at the theater. They are doing all their best to save his life. To add to that, I spoke to some people around. They mentioned that both the guy and the girl, they've been dating for about 6 years now. They mentioned they started at JHS2, very young, when they started dating. So they've been doing this for about 6 years now, and that the guy has always been in the house of the girlfriend. That the woman is a trader, the mother of the girlfriend is a trader, so she's almost away from the house. So anytime she's away, the guy comes to keep company, to keep the deceased company. So she's been there. At times she stays for about 3 weeks, and then goes home and comes back again. But then this time around, he's been there for about a week. I am also told that normally, because they've been dating for long, people know them in the area and their church. So they go to church together. But last week Sunday, they didn't go to church together. They went separately. The girl went separately, and then the guy too went there separately for fellowship. So they were asked, why? Normally you come to church together. Why? What's happening? Why did you come separately today? They didn't really say anything. And I'm also told that the guy is a footballer. He plays for Stillion FC, a Division 2 team here in the home municipality. So on Sunday, they had a game. People who watched the game observed that he was playing hard. Wicked, some people say. He was playing hard to the extent that during the first half, he was yellow carded, and then in the second half, he continued playing hard and then was given another yellow card and then red carded. So people there were saying that perhaps he had some kind of anger in him while playing the game, because normally that is not how he plays his soccer. So they are trying to say perhaps during that period there was some sort of anger within him before we heard this morning that he had allegedly murdered the girlfriend. The police have launched an investigation into the incident, and we spoke to the municipal commander. He mentioned that they were able to get some few words from the guy at the hospital. He confirmed that they had a misunderstanding, but then he didn't actually say what led to the death of the young lady.
Right.
He mentioned that.
Fred, hold on for me. Just to clarify, before we play the clip you sent of the Home Municipal Police Command, which says it has begun investigations. First of all, the woman we heard is not the mother of the deceased. She is the landlord, the landlady.
The wife of the landlady.
She's the wife of the landlady and not the mother of the deceased, just so we clarify that one. Okay, so that's number one. And then for the other information, you say you've been talking to the Home Municipal Police Commander.
Yeah, so they actually went there this morning to convey the body to the morgue, and they took the guy to the hospital. He also attempted murder. That is what the police are saying, that after allegedly killing the girl, he attempted murder. There are knife wounds on his throat. Perhaps he tried slitting his throat, and then also his stomach has been cut open. Some of his intestines are exposed. They are gushing out. So they had to rush him to the hospital to treat him. They also mentioned that the ceiling, or the fan on the ceiling, has also removed too, both in the living room and then the bedroom. So they are suggesting that perhaps after that he tried hanging himself, but then it didn't work. That was when he attempted to slit his stomach, to slit his throat, or then cut his stomach. Maybe he might die out of that. But then both attempts didn't were not successful. So he has suffered serious injuries, and that he's being operated on at the hospital.
Let's listen to the Home Municipal Police, which says it has arrested, or they have arrested this gentleman and are commencing investigations.
The administration visited the theater and met Anthony Dodoi, is pressing on him to do a deep cut on the throat with the intestines gashed out. Because it is a hospital facility, we were unable to do in-depth investigation. We will only interview him about what actually happened. And during the interview, he made it known to the police that there were some issues between him and the girlfriend, who is now deceased. So we went further to ask him that was it because of the issue that caused the death of the disease and the injury to him. He was unable, because he was in deep pain and we didn't want to go further. But the hospital administration also didn't want us to go further to ask questions because of his condition. So at the moment, putting the pieces together from the spot investigation in the room and the interview we had with him, we are of the opinion that maybe he might have killed the lady and attempted suicide, based on what he intimated to us, that the lady was at the point cheating on him. So that is where we are afraid. We are still investigating on that. And as he gets better, we pray that he gets better so that we can get more information from him and get to.
That's Superintendent Anthony Danso, who is the Whole Municipal Police Commander. Fred Kwame, my colleague, is still on the line with me. Hello, Fred.
Hello, yes,
Fred, so the police says that this is the theory they're working with, that he had killed the lady and attempted to kill himself. Do we have any updates on his health? This gentleman who has been arrested and is with the health authorities in Ho, do we have an update on his health?
Well, when I spoke to the PRO of the Ho Church Hospital, he mentioned that at the moment, doctors are working on him at the theater. They are trying their possible best to save his life. So that perhaps whatever happened, you'll be able to give every detailed information on the incident. So at the moment, he's at the facility where health professionals are working on him to ensure that they save his life, or they are working to save his life to ensure that he gives detailed information on whatever happened last night or this morning.
And Fred, is there any other information we're to share with our audience as we wait for the update?
Well, like I stated earlier, they've been dating for about 6 years. So they are more like couple. People in the area know them very well. I am told the guy has been helping the mother of the deceased. She sells melon at the whole central market, just by the roadside. So anytime he's not doing anything, he passed by and then maybe help pack melons or help sell melons at the whole central market. So basically that is what they have been doing. It's like they live together. So people know them. People were very, very surprised this incident occurred, because they don't understand how the guy would just do that. That is the information being put across, even though the police have not confirmed that the guy actually killed the girl. They are suggesting that perhaps they may have misunderstandings, and then out of that, he took the life of the young lady. But then it comes to them as a great surprise.
Right, thank you. Fred Kwame is our correspondent in the Volta region, bringing us up to speed. So, a gentleman, and this happens to be the second of such incident in the region. About 2 weeks ago, there was a similar incident which the police says they're looking into. And today we've heard that another has occurred. In this case, we understand this gentleman is a footballer, has been dating this lady since junior high school, and they often cohabit, as you heard Fred reports. The whole Municipal Police Command says they've commenced investigations even though he is in the hospital. And we're told also that there are police guards at the hospital as the health workers there try to save his life, as the police believes he tried to kill himself after he allegedly killed the lady. We'll keep our eyes on that story and keep you updated. And away from that, did you know that Ghanaian soldiers were among the few peacekeeping forces who continued to stay in Rwanda during the 1994 massacre in which close to 1 million people died? Well, Ghana remains special in the heart of many Rwandese for that show of courage, even after some Rwandese put it, UN and other foreign forces rescued their own and abandoned the country. In a series of the Rwandan stories, lessons for Ghana and Africa, we begin with a story of a survivor who was 9 years old and now mounts the Kigali Genocide Memorial. Here is a report I put together.
Pictures of those who were killed, from babies to old men and women, hung on a wall inside the Kigali Genocide Memorial. Alongside these pictures are bones and skulls. The Genocide Memorial is one of over 200 dotted across Rwanda, carrying the remains of nearly 1 million people, many of whom were butchered to death.
Hassan Ngeze, who was a famous journalist, he said that we say to the cockroaches. So this is the step of the dehumanization.
Dion was 9 years old when the genocide started.
So my family was in that group of people who were surrounding the pyramid. So
today, he is taking a Ghanaian delegation around the Kigali Genocide Memorial. This tour includes a highly emotional video of survivors, how they narrowly escaped death, how their families were killed, and what this memorial means to them. Also, there is a wreath-laying ceremony and telling the entire story of the genocide. For Dion, this is work he's been doing since 2010. It gives him some closure, having lost his family to the genocide. His task is to take visitors through the history of Rwanda, the institutionalization of tribal divisions, and eventually how people started killing their neighbors, friends, and even spouses, amidst, as he puts it, a deliberate attempt to have HIV-infected men rape women to ensure they die slowly and to eliminate a generation.
So they needed to make sure that the Tutsi generation will never emerge again. So very young kids were targeted, and they then selected women who married Tutsi. Those you can understand, majorly they are Hutus, who married Tutsi men, and they were being raped. And of course, we have also the Tutsis women who were also being raped, and they were selecting HIV positive militia to kill, to rape them and just leave them for long-term consequences. And this is what the government is dealing with.
Bodies of those women, men and children littered in mass graves across the country have been exhumed and reburied here. The clothes and personal belongings on them the day they were killed are also lined up here. A stark reminder that the days on which they were killed felt like any other ordinary day. The history as told here at the memorial indicates the UN forces left as French soldiers also failed to rescue Tutsis who were being butchered and sometimes buried alive. Ghanaian soldiers, however, led by General Henry Kwame Anyidoho, stayed on. Rwandans like Dion have not forgotten those Ghanaian soldiers.
The UN forces decided to leave the country. More than 2,000 people left. Only few African volunteers who decided to not leave the country. Ghanaians, Nigerians, few. We were very well treated by Ghanaians. Soldiers, they showed that love, that human heart, and they are my heroes. Sometimes I don't remember some names, but we remember the Ghanaians as young kids, being fed by them, being protected, being loved. In their eyes, you can see that humanity.
For many who know the Rwandan story, it is the role of the media and how politicians contributed money to spur on propaganda against one ethnic group that stands out and must never happen again in any African country. As Rwanda opens up its economy to Ghana, it seems the country wants to say thank you not only to the soldiers, but to the entire population, but at the same time to say, learn from our painful experience. Gifty Andopia, JoyNews, Kigali, Rwanda.
And in the coming days, we'll bring you more stories from my sojourn, if you like, in Rwanda. Now, away from that, investigations have uncovered how security operatives and politically connected individuals, among others, have been aiding a gold smuggling syndicate to illegally export gold through the country's air and sea ports. President Akufo-Addo in 2018 reviewed how $5 billion was unaccounted for in gold exports from Ghana to the United Arab Emirates. The latest Hotline documentary, Busted Gold Smugglers, takes a look at how this cartel outwits authorities and evades tax.
A man who has wide knowledge of how national security operates at the airport gives an insight into how the operatives work to compromise the system. He agrees to this interview on condition of anonymity.
Most of the time, the gold that people have been complaining goes always pass through airports without going through the channel, the normal channel. Is through aviation security and other security agencies at the airport, especially aviation security. The ladies, they are mounting the security check at the central screening. So most of the time, the women put it in their bags, their hand luggages. So when they scan and then they see it, will seize the items, then the person will pay money, then they release it to the person to take it out of the country.
Give us a breakdown of how this is done.
They have a middleman at the airport who work it out with the aviation security, those at the central screening. One, let me tell you how Chinese people smuggle gold out of Ghana. They package it in a cigarette packet. They mold it in a four square, small sizes, like 10 kilo. I don't know how much the weight of the kilos. Then they put it in the middle of the cigarette packet, and then they put cigarettes, and then they seal it, and then they put it in the back of the cigarette, the curtain. Then they will use storybooks. Then they put it on top, and then they solid tape it on it. So when it is in their luggage and they are scanning it, you see the image as a book. But under the back image of the book, you see something that is unidentified. So when they do physical checking and they open them, then you see that it is gold. Then aviation will take money, and then they allow them to take it out. And they are making more money than government self at the airport. If Ghana Airport Company and every worker at Ghana Airport is going to work seriously for the state, I'm telling you, Ghana Airport alone, money that they will make there can pay the whole country. But at the end of the day, the money that goes to people's pocket is almost 70% goes to people's pocket than what goes to the government. That is why government is losing more revenue at the airport there.
The managing director of the Ghana Airport Company discounts these claims. According to him, the assumption that established protocols are not observed is false. He adds that there are measures in place to ensure strict adherence to established standard operating procedures. This man we call Willie Brown for the purposes of anonymity is a politically exposed individual. He doesn't only operate illegal small-scale mining concessions, he also has a lot of insight into the networks involved in the smuggling of gold.
Similar to red flies.
Okay.
Yes, similar to red flies. What
Willie Brown promises to introduce the team to a shipping line that will charge us less than what the state-owned PMMC would take on the gold we intended to export. He talks further about how many gold smugglers beat the system to rob the nation of badly needed revenue. Now they are for market. Willie Brown introduces us to one of the managers of the shipping line who promises us to help us cheat the system. He says the team will have to pay him 8% of the cost on each pound of gold we intend smuggling.
Because now self is more than what I'm telling you. Because now at Japan, you know what they bought at Japan. Unless you give me a statement from there where you bought the gold. So the 3% will go to whatever they bought the gold. And that one will deduct from the whatever I'm trying to do it now. The Japan deal have started now. So in the gold will ship it out and now they are taking 3% of total volume now.
Okay.
Well, those are excerpts from our latest Hotline documentary. Pressure is already mounting on government to demonstrate its commitment to dealing with the problem by ensuring the security agencies take up the matter. Founder and president of the African Institute for Extractive Industry, Tony Obin, has been speaking on the Super Morning Show.
I think this leakage is a major financial challenge to the country. And I believe that government must be interested, given the extent of loss of revenue to the state. You can trace the movement of the metal from the mine site, just like we have a program in the diamond area. In fact, when you go to any country, when diamond is exported, let's say from here to Belgium, you can trace that this diamond came from Ghana. And that is something that government must be looking at. If it were some small amount that government leaks out, you may not spend money to do that. But the amount involved in the loss is gargantuan, if you like. So I think government must be very interested. The security agencies must be very interested.
Dr. Tony Obin there. Now, co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Steve Montiel, warned the activities of smugglers could have dire security consequences for Ghana.
These activities portend huge security risk for Ghana. For me, it's dangerous because you can then have a situation where Boko Haram or any terrorist group can just come into this country, set up a base, produce goods, send it through unapproved rules, make money, and to finance their terrorist activities. So our state security agencies must be concerned.
Dr. Steve Montiel there. Well, for the Minister for Land and Natural Resources, the ministry will not put a blind eye to the situation as it borders on criminality. That's what he said. Listen.
We're going to conduct investigations. We're going to get a criminal investigation department to conduct investigations into this matter. The smuggling of gold is an illegality. It's a criminal act. So if you have a syndicate which smuggles gold, it's purely a criminal act, and the criminal investigation department will have to find a way of investigating this report. As well also that the Precious Minerals Marketing Company and the Minerals Commission itself have tasked them to come up with reforms and come up with strategies to ensure that we have a regime in Ghana which will make it difficult or even impossible for people to smuggle our gold out of our country. But clearly we will conduct the investigations, and then we'll strengthen the institutional framework of the Minerals Commission and the PMMC to ensure that we're able to put the mechanism to forestall the smuggling of gold out of our country.
The officials not involved, you think they should be dealt with, or more involving?
Anybody who is involved in criminality should be dealt with. Anybody who is involved in illegality should be dealt with. But there must be investigation first to ascertain whether somebody is involved in illegality or somebody is involved in criminality. So
Abujanapo there is the sector minister. Now, Auditor General's report has unearthed a total amount of 23,492,458 cedis are unaccounted for as a result of malfeasance, cash mismanagement, procurement, and stores irregularities, contract mismanagement, as well as tax and payroll irregularities, among others. At a virtual launch of the report, Executive Director Kofi Asare reviewed how some heads of schools paid teachers their research and book allowance when there was no proof of the work done. Other schools contracted loans without required approvals. Fred Smith is joining me via Zoom with more on the highlight reviewed by the Africa Education Watch at a virtual meeting held a while ago. Hello, Fred. Fred, I'm hopeful that you hear me. What more is contained in this report? Unmute for me.
Well, in the Pone Community SHTS, for instance, the report said that the head of the PTA converted part of the E-block to a hostel facility and collected hostel fees without authorization. Another infraction occurred at the Sefirioso SHS, where a contract for the supply of food items was abrogated and re-awarded to a contractor at a price of 13,000 Ghana cedis more. In some schools, I mentioned Anafoman SHTS, laptops which were supposed to be for students were not found when inspectors went for inspection. Some schools, as many as 57 of them, had paid unearned salaries of about 681,324 cedis to some staff. And the report found that at the Presbyterian SHS and ATTC here at Kokomlemle, for instance, some staff were no longer working in these schools for at least 5 years, were still being paid.
Fred, are there any recommendations contained in this report on the back of these infractions by the Auditor General?
Yes, indeed. In most of the instances, the AG asked the school heads to refund the monies. In cases of those still occupying bungalows, the staff had to pay the rent and vacate the premises, and where accessories were not found, the AG asked the school heads to recover them all. Where school projects were abandoned, the AG asked the management of the schools to liaise with the Ghana Education Service to prioritize completion of the said projects and use them.
Fair. So these are details that we can find in this report that has been released, correct?
Yes, indeed, Gifty.
Well, let's turn our attention to the Executive Director of the Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, on what they intend for government to do. Mr. Asare, thank you for your time. You have stated that these infractions are recurring, indicating there is lack of commitment on the part of management of the institutions when it comes to implementing Auditor General's recommendations and to sanction offenders. Where then do you think we should go from here?
Exactly. The worrying spectacle is that over the past 15 years, as conceded by the Deputy Auditor General who was at the launch, these dimensions have been the dimensions of, malfeasance in these institutions, payroll irregularities, procurement and stores irregularities, and then cash management. And that means that the public financial management law and its regulations are still not being adhered to in our senior high schools, senior high technical schools, and in our colleges of education. It is probably so because no one is going to jail for causing financial loss at that level. We are only focusing on political corruption and jailing politicians who cause financial loss. There's a higher financial loss taking place in our schools, for which, until we begin meting out punitive sanctions, prosecuting not just to disallow or surcharge, but also to actually punish people by criminally prosecuting them, should be one of the options that we have to consider moving forward. Other than that, we will be losing such huge sums of money every year, whilst people struggle in rural areas to raise funds to even build common basic school infrastructure or school desks.
Do you intend as an organization to take this up?
Yeah, we have a 5-pronged strategy. We're working with the selected media houses and then civil sector organizations. One, we are going to start engagement with the boards of these senior high schools, college of education, and commit the boards to ensuring that the recommendations captured in this report are implemented to the latter. Second, we are going to work with the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service especially. The majority of these are GES staff. Unfortunately, the political will of the GES to pursue this, it's always in question, because even at the launch, they did not show up. But they are the agency whose staff are engaged in all this. And so we are hoping that we will secure the political will of the GES to implementing what the Auditor General has tasked the GES to do in terms of retrieving cash from the staff, punishing school heads who may have been involved in procurement and contractual infractions and all that. And then also the third leg is that we are going to work closely with the Auditor General and other prosecutorial agencies within the justice sector, especially IOCO and then the Auditor General, the Attorney General, to ensure that we step up the prosecution of people who are culpable for most of these crimes. The only way we can have a different discussion next year is when people begin to suffer, the ramifications of their own actions after they have actually caused financial loss to the state. Other than that, we will have this discussion every other year or every year, and nothing may have changed significantly.
Are there any timelines you're looking at?
Presently, there's a new administration, a new minister, boards are being constituted. And so we will say that within the next 2 months, all senior high schools, colleges of education should have new boards. Immediately the new boards are inaugurated, one of the first meetings that are going to take place will be the meeting of these new boards on the outstanding findings. Not only these findings, in 2018, about 8 million was lost. In 2017, about 25 million, even higher than this amount was lost. We are interested in ensuring that the boards are able to implement these recommendations and other outstanding recommendations of previous Auditor General's reports, especially for staff of the Education Service, College of Education, who are still at post, to ensure that we have a more accountable education system that assures of value for money and efficiency in spending.
Well, I'm going to just let you speak about a story that I'm yet to do. It has to do with the, Rastafari brouhaha in our schools. I don't know if you have yet, taken a position or not, but I'm going to go on a break after I speak to you. So you tell me, what are your thoughts and how do you see what is happening?
Well, what is happening is unfortunate. Let me start by saying so. But it is a manifestation of the way we think, the way the ordinary Ghanaian thinks. We have various stereotypes and prejudices about Rasta people. And so these stereotypes and prejudices obviously will inform how you form an opinion about them. And so when we listen to the narrative being made by many, it goes beyond just protecting a certain order in our schools, protecting rules, to, crossing that thin line between being conservative about your rules to actually propagating hate. Some of the comments being made about them, it's totally distasteful. But that is Ghana, that is Ghana. I think that moving forward, the Ghana Education Service will have to look at ways to standardize rules and regulations in their institutions so that it doesn't happen that the old student association of School A will develop a new set of laws for their own, a peculiar set of rules for their school, and then same will be done for School B. It becomes difficult for the GES itself as a policy coordinator for pre-tertiary to coordinate. But I am also disappointed that the GES, in spite of its mandate under Section 3 of the GES Act of Act 506, being the coordinator of pre-tertiary education policy, directly responsible for providing education service, had to actually renege or withdraw or make a U-turn contrary to its first advice. The GES has a mandate to advise schools if it feels that certain decisions they take are not in the interest of the public and also in the national interest. Unfortunately, they had to backtrack, obviously because they don't want to get into the tangle with the student teacher unions. because there had been a press conference by NAGRAT, and the teacher unions are very powerful. So considering the right of 2 students vis-a-vis about 100,000 teachers going on strike, they took the easier option of, withdrawing or retreating, and more or less leaving the lives of the 2 senior high school students in the limbo. But we pray that their parents will find schools for them in Ghana. After all, they have been educated all this while by Ghanaian teachers in Ghanaian schools. They did not seek an education at the basic level in any country but in Ghana. And so we hope that they will find schools in Ghana, continue their education, and come back and serve Ghana, to serve as a lesson, as part of a long process of reorientation that we need to go through to see the black man as part of us.
Kwame, Kofi Asare, thank you very much. He's the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, helping us with this thought on what is a story that I'm going to discuss with you right after this break. This is The Pulse with me, Gifty, and Rapia. Do stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. Father of one of 2 boys denied admission at Achimota School because of his dreadlocks says his son is traumatized by the ordeal. Ras Aswad in Krabia says his son is currently being given psychological treatment. This comes in the wake of the Rastafari Council serving notice of taking the matter to court because the Achimota School insists it will not admit the student. Oheneba in Krabia and Tyrone Maguire were last week turned away from the school because of their locks. He spoke to my colleague, Manuel Kranting.
Yes, they have that right in terms of be able to regulate, yes, but not in terms of interrupting the child education, not above the child's education. And that's what they did. They didn't consider, these are 2 children, one is 6, one got aggregate 6 and one aggregate 10. Those are top marks in this country. You have people in there with 18, right? And they allow them to get in the school. And these are high marks, and they refuse them because they have dreadlocks.
Okay.
So they are violating the Constitution.
That's not their problem.
I don't see where the Constitution have given them that right to violate the child rights in terms of taking him out of school to prevent him to get an education. The Constitution doesn't say anything like that, and that's one of the reasons why we're taking it to court, for the court to define.
When are you going to court?
This week.
You're going to court?
Yeah, we're going to file a document this week.
I see.
Yeah.
And what are you going to seek? What redress are you?
Well, we are expecting that the issue of discrimination is one issue that they have to deal with. The violation of the Constitution is another issue that have to deal with. And then damages, because we went through a whole lot of traumatic experience. We had to take the child to a psychiatric hospital because of the fact that he was traumatized by the whole issue. So we're going to look into all that, and whatever else is there, then we expect that to be applied.
So that's Ras Aswad in Krabia. Manuel Kranting, who had that interview with him, has joined me in the studio right now. So we'll have a little bit of a chat on this. Manuel, it's good to have you. To give us a little bit of a background to this gentleman, Ras Aswad in Krabia, is he originally Ghanaian?
Well, he's part of the crop of people who actually came to Ghana in 2019 because of the year of return, and he actually got his citizenship, Ghanaian citizenship. And you remember there was a sort of a fanfare in doling out their citizenship to them, and he is one of them. In fact, I'll tell you about what he makes of the entire arrangement, having been sent the invite to come to Ghana, and now being told that they cannot, school in Ghanaian schools because they have
because of a hairstyle. Okay, we'll talk a bit more about that. But then we also know that his son has 2 sisters, right? Tell us that story as well.
Well, actually, not his son. In fact, there are 2 families that we're dealing with. There's the Aswad and Krabia family, and then there's the Maguire family. Exactly. Right. And so the Maguire family actually has triplets. And so in Krabia, Maguire himself, the Tyrone Maguire, who had 6 once and was placed in Achimota School, has 2 sisters, and they are triplets. And those 2 sisters were admitted into St. John's Grammar School at Achimota. I'm told by their father, Ras Maguire, that they were giving admission and everything seemed to have been okay. They started school yesterday, and then after they closed school and came home, they came home with a report that the Old Student Association of the school had hinted that they had to cut their hair or they would have to leave the school. And so they requested a meeting with him. He's been explaining that to me. We can listen to him.
The kids are triplets. So Tyrone's sisters are here. They had Achimota, St. John's, you know. So I brought them here. They started schooling yesterday. And then when they came home in the evening, they brought a report that the Old Students Association wants me to come so that we talk about their hair. And that is why I'm here. A guy came up to me, you know, in the one office there, and he started telling me that the school has rules, and Achimota is their sister school. It has rules, and they have to go cut their hairs or they have to leave, you know. And then he went on to say he has spoken with the girls. In fact, he really liked them, you know. They are disciplined, they are very intelligent, you know. So I asked him then, what's your problem?
What's the problem, Manuel? That's an issue that, that's an issue that you try to get answers from the school authorities. What happened?
Exactly, and you know that there's a GS regulation that says that the schools cannot speak without authorization from the service, and so they say we should get to GES before you've been trying, we've not been successful just yet. So there's no response, official response from the school as regards the accounts that Ras Maguire has been giving me.
Let's go back to Ras Aswad Nkrabia's story. He is one of the people who took on Ghanaian nationality just a few years back. What's the story there again?
Yes, so and I'll tell you that, but he's been reacting. Yesterday, the Ghana Education Service met together with the Achimota School Administration and then the parents involved, and he actually represented the parents involved, and he said that the treatment that they received at that meeting was something he would describe as condescending, and that the GES and then the Achimota School were just, you know, hypocritical, and that's statement that the GS released over the weekend, saying that they were to allow the students to be admitted into the school.
So for those who have not really followed that story, there's a part of the statement by the GES that says that Achimota School should allow this boy to go to, to allow him to go to school with his dreadlocks. But subsequently, that position was changed. And that is the basis upon which Mr. Nkrabia says the GES is being hypocritical.
Exactly, that's correct. And we can listen to how he puts that.
Right.
Yeah, we saw that on Saturday, and one would ask the question: why would a so-called reputable and respectable institution say one thing and then the next minute they do something else? To me, I find that very hypocritical, and it means that their arms have been twisted for them to come out with a position like that. Because you said that on Saturday, and then Monday you change your position without explaining to the public why you change your position. So, you know, it doesn't make much sense to me, because when I was in the meeting, it seemed like they were bowing to the headmistress, right? As if to say the school is superior to the Constitution. The GES is there to work for the people, not for the leaders of the school.
So you were in that meeting. What happened here?
Oh, in that meeting, it was just a lot of condescending behavior from those who were in the meeting, because they scorn dreadlocks, they scorn the African culture, and they scorn Rastafari. So their attitude was very, oh, you are nothing, so we can tell you anything and do anything that we feel like doing, right? And that was their approach. And in that meeting, they claimed that the only way we can be accepted in the school is to cut the child dreadlocks. And we said no.
You're not going to do that?
No. Why should I do that when the Constitution have given me the right? I've given the child his right to have his religion and to have his culture.
But in respect of that, you are also delaying the child progress in school while you are in court, and this might take some time in court. What will be happening?
I am not the one that's delaying it. We have done all our best to ensure that the child get in the school, and he got there, and they have accepted him through the computer selection. So we have done what we are supposed to do as our duties. So it was up to them now to recognize that they need to do their duty as well. So we are not going to take blame for the fact that this is happening.
So that's Ras Nkrabia, Aswad Nkrabia there. Manuel, the Achimota School today has released a statement. Walk us through what the statement says.
Well, so this statement is actually
from the PTA,
Parent-Teacher Association of the Achimota School. And I'll just read excerpt of it. It says that the Achimota School PTA executive unreservedly and unequivocally supports the school's decision to enforce its rules with respect to the admission of 3 students with dreadlocked hairstyle. Now, according to the school's revised rules and regulations, August 2020, Section H, which is on general appearance. Item 3 states, and I quote, students must keep their hair low, simple and natural. The student's hair should not go through any chemical process. The scalp must not show. So this age-old rule has prevented unnecessary attention and time wasting with non-school hairdos. Any exceptions to this rule on religious grounds would open the floodgates for all types of hairstyles and breed indiscipline. Now, furthermore, we believe Article 14, 1E of the 1992 Constitution, which states, every person shall be entitled to his personal liberty, and no person shall be deprived of his personal liberty except in the following cases and in accordance with procedure permitted by law. And E specifically states that for the purposes of education or welfare of a person who has not attained the age of 18 years, gives the school the right to set such rules in furtherance of education. We therefore stand with the headmistress and welcome into our fold parents who are ready to abide by the rules and regulations of Achimota School, and is signed by the PTA chairman, Dr. Andre Kwesi Kuma. And so they are solidarizing and standing with the administration of the school.
Definitely. And just so you know, sometimes the PTA obviously has a lot of clout when it comes to issues concerning the school. But Ras Nkrabia is not making this matter go away. He has his own plans.
Exactly. So apart from the lawsuit that he's threatened, and he told me that they're going to file the documents this week. Apart from that, he's also saying that he's going to send out a call to the members of the African diaspora community not to come to Ghana. You know that he came to Ghana because of the year of return. He says that if you extend an invitation to us to come, and then it's almost the same as we are, you know, in Europe or in Americas, we might as well not come at all. Listen.
I am going to make a very massive appeal to the diaspora community to not come to Ghana and see Ghana as the gateway. The president have invited us to come here as the year of return and the year beyond the return, and a lot of us have decided to come here and start settle down in the system. So I'm going to put out a strong appeal that we should not look at Ghana, because Ghana is very prejudicial, and you bring your children here, they will want to comb the ear and fight against their culture. So let us look at another African country to go, or stay where we are.
I see, but is it fair to generalize? I mean, you're going to court, and this is just one school, and I mean, the other schools in the country, for instance, there's Accra Academy which is accepted, you know, a student with dreadlocks. I mean, is it a fair?
It is fair because the GES have sided with that position. So what is going to happen is that the GES is going to set a precedence for all the other schools to follow. And as you recognize, you call the young man just now, and he said he's going to the school because they call him about his children. And most likely they're going to tell him that the child cannot be there with that dreadlocks. And it's as a result of the GES action. So it's not a matter of generalization. We have to alert all the diaspora people that this is not a place to come, because you will find yourself having the same prejudice that you have in the white man country, the racist laws over there. When you think you're coming home and to be at peace, it's going to be a whole other situation. So I'm going to encourage them not to come here.
Thus, you'll be encouraging other people who want to take on Ghanaian citizenship not to come in. But the bottom line is that he's found his son a new school.
And so that's what they're doing in the interim as they await the court processes to begin and all that. He says that he's found a private school and is willing to accept him in the meantime as they follow the procedure in court. And so we wait to be seen what will come out of that.
Thank you very much. Manuel Kranting there, who has been out and about looking at this Rastafari versus Chimoto School and other schools now involved story that is just not going off the trend. I'll be taking you shortly to Parliament, but before that, let me tell you about our Ghana Month series. It was constructed over 700 years ago and remains one of the oldest mosques in Ghana. The Nakori Ancient Mosque was built by Karima Dauda to enable him perform prayers with his family. Would-be Hajj pilgrims in the olden days would usually visit the mosque to pray for God's permission to undertake the holy journey to Mecca. In our Ghana Month series, JoyNews' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that despite the beautiful Sudanese-inspired architecture, the national monument is fast deteriorating and needs to be saved from collapsing.
Built at the heart of the Nakoro community and overlooks the Nakoro Dam, is the Nakoro Ancient Mosque. It is one of the oldest mosques in Ghana and constructed over 700 years ago according to oral history, which we are unable to independently verify.
Currently, we are on top of the Nakore Ancient Mosque. It is a Sudanese architecture built with mud bricks and sticks. It was built in the 14th century, precisely in 1308. And it was built under the instruction of Karma Dauda, who was a royal.
During the days of yore, Muslims who wish to perform the Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca first has to come to this community called Nakore, visit this mosque and perform 2 rakat prayers.
As you can see, there is a big tree down here, down there. It's our grandfather's son. He dead, and they bury him there 7 days, and that tree germinated there. So that in the old time, when they want to go to Mecca for pilgrimage, they will come to this mosque, pray 2 rakah, go there. In our tradition, ask for permission, because they are the first people to go to Mecca and come back.
As part of the Ghana Man series, I took a tour of the monument that the people in this part of the earth has reverence for. I was joined by 2-time national best tour guide Aziz Pelpo and caretaker of the Asian mosque Yakubu Tairu Parasagana. The ancient Nakore mosque was constructed using teak and rosewood that supports the flat roof, which is of mud construction. The teak and rosewood were reinforced to protrude externally and were used as scaffolding during plastering and construction. It has 2 towers that stand taller than the buttresses. One of these towers faces east and contains a small prayer room. Aziz Pelbo told me that Kalmadoro moved from Wa to Nakore to put up the mosque upon advice from his father, who was then the chief of Wa.
And at the time, somewhere around the 14th century, Islam was not dominant in this part of the country. In fact, Islam was not acceptable. So practicing Islam within this community, you were considered a kind of an outcast. So his father being the paramount chief at the time, having his son, who quote and unquote was an outcast, he advised the son that instead of worshipping your God here and distracting us, why don't you move to the King's Forest, as translated in the local language. Move to the King's Forest, settle there with your family, and then you can freely practice your religion there. So this Karma Dauda moved with his 2 wives and their 4 children to this particular community, now known as Nakore.
Do you have a lot of visitors to this place?
Oh yes, we do have lots of visitors to this place, especially archaeologists and other people that are interested in old buildings and old structures. I, as a tour guide, I do bring lots of tourists to this particular place, considering the fact that it is also a religious site. So I bring a lot of religious tourists. Some people consider coming to this ancient mosque as even pilgrimage. So it is one of the tourist attractions in the Upper West region that enjoys a lot of patronage.
What will be done to change the status quo?
The Museums and Monuments Board, as a matter of urgency, should engage the community members to identify some people in the community, train them, and engage them formally to take very good care of the mosques. And as they are doing the maintenance, the routine maintenance, I believe that the Museums and Monuments Board can find a way of supporting these people. I was so disappointed sometime I came here, they were doing renovations and they couldn't afford paint. So they had to go from door to door in this same community to solicit for funds to acquire paint to keep this beautiful edifice in place. So I think that all in all, we all need to also patronize this attraction.
To date, prayers are still done here. Before the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, averagely they receive 700 visitors. However, few hardly visit the place, as it now serves as a resting place for animals, especially goats. It is dilapidated and on the verge of collapsing. Beautiful structure, but it's about going down.
Well, conservation is our biggest challenge in this part of the country when it comes to tourism development. This building, I am reliably informed, it is under the care of the Museums and Monuments Board, but they hardly come here and they hardly engage the people. And even to get a trained site guide at the post or even an information center is a very big challenge for us. So as tour guides, sometimes you come here and it is really a very big challenge for us over here.
Yakubu Tairo Prasagana said plans are far afoot in the coming weeks to fix it.
Inshallah, we will repair it before this Ramadan coming. We will rebuild it. We don't want to use any modern materials to build it. We want to use the old clay, the old sand they used to build it. We are using that one. That is why it keep long like this.
Another area of concern is this dilapidated structure, which was constructed a few years ago to serve as information center for the Asian mosques. The building, upon completion, has not been used and now in deplorable condition. APAWA's regional director of the Museums and Monument Board, Kenneth Fonjigba, is aware of the deplorable condition the mosque is, stating that he's liaising with the relevant bodies to fix it.
Luckily for us, the Municipal Assembly funded the Ekenfegerson graveyard, and it was recently handed over. Nakori Mosque has also been in the pipeline since last year. After that, unexpected distraction. So let's keep our fingers crossed. I've always been in touch with the heads there, from the engineering department to the works department to the administration of the assembly.
This opening currently you are seeing is not another window, but I can tell you that it is the staircase of the ancient Nakoro mosque. For one to move in, down there, or come up there, you struggle a lot. So now, let's move in and see how we are going to get down. Domine. So for one to go down, what you need to do is that you need to squat. When you squat, and you bring your legs back, and then you can see how I'm struggling to get down to the ground floor of the ancient mosques. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Nakora.
Looks like a hell of activity there for him. But let me tell you about the story of From Grace to Grass, which is not necessarily the usual cliche that we're used to, but rather the story of someone who was jailed, a school dropout, but discharged as a degree holder. He's a living example of the saying that when life throws lemons at you, you make lemonades out of them. 46-year-old Richard Ngaku was a primary school dropout when he was jailed in 1997 for 24 years. After more than those 24 years, he's walking out of the Nsawam prison as an author, an evangelist, and a degree holder. Maxwell Agbagba has his story.
Richard Ngaku, leader of the prison's choir and head pastor of the United Prisons Fellowship, leads the prisoners to sing here at the Nsawam prisons.
The joy of reconciling back to the family.
Oh, I think, yes, they are. It is a bright morning at the Nsawam prisons. Ngaku has been released after 24 years in jail. He was 22 years when he walked through the gates here. Now, he is walking out as a 46-year-old man. It is an emotional scene as he begs me to take a picture of him and his siblings who are here to take him home. One of them is his sister, Patience, a nurse. She was only 5 years when Richard was jailed. She's now 29. No, she's 29.
29, yeah.
What's your name?
Patience.
Oh, yeah.
Patience.
Patience. Oh, okay. 24 years ago, what started as a normal day nearly ended with his death. He says a man he had met 2 weeks earlier had begged him to accompany him to sell a car. Unknown to him, it was a stolen car. He says the unavailability of petrol in the area where the incident happened is why he's alive today, as he was beaten by a mob with car ties put around his neck, ready to be set ablaze in Somanya.
So in the course of running, they suspected me as an armed robber or a criminal, and they hold on me. When they caught me, they decided to kill me.
To kill you?
Yes. In fact, they beat me to the point of death, and they've also brought a tie, a car tie, old tie, and they put it on me. They tied me down and they put a tie on me. Wanted to set fire on me, and a police patrol passed by to rescue me.
He has some advice for young people.
If I knew my friend would vanish in the scene of arrest, I couldn't have followed him. So my with whom become their friends.
Within the giant walls of the Nsawam prisons, Ngaku, who dropped out of primary school, acquired some education and now holds a bachelor's degree in biblical studies. He now speaks impeccable English and a full-time evangelist and an author. His book, From Grass to Grace, captures his tumultuous life journey.
We are here at Promised Land in the Kantamanso constituency. Richard Ngaku, who has just been released from the Nsawam medium prisons, is going to meet his mother for the first time in 24 years. Family members and siblings of Richard Ngaku tell us that after he was incarcerated, they had to tell his mother that her son, favorite son, had traveled outside the country. They knew that she couldn't bear the pain and agony if they had told her that her son had been incarcerated. And today, they are heading to the home, and Richard Ngaku would reunite with his mother for the first time in 24 years.
No. Oh no. Oh no. Ngaku's mother, who has not seen him for more than 20 years, could not hide her joy. She has hearing and speaking difficulties. One of her children offered to translate what she was saying.
What she's saying is that has really been a very long time. Every day we tell her that he is coming. He has cried and cried and cried. Now that he has come there, he thank God. And he's thank God that now she has seen her son.
Ngaku's brother Stephen Dawiti says they had to tell a lie to keep their mother alive to see this day.
You know her mother's condition. So she was there when our brother was arrested. So it became a problem. He wasn't eating, in fact. So at a point in time, we have to decide to save her life. So we told her that our brother has been released and that he has traveled abroad.
While in prison, Ngaku lost his wife and his child. He is hopeful of a new start and says he can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maxwell Agbagba, JoyNews.
Call it tears of joy. Let me take you to Parliament. We'll try and return to this conversation shortly. But Kwesi Parker Wilson is in Parliament for us. Well, over there in Parliament today, the Speaker clashed with the Majority Leader over the admission of a petition by the founder of Unibank, Dr. Kwabena Dufour, and CEO of UT Bank, Prince Kofi Amorbing, requesting Parliament to investigate circumstances leading to the revocation of their licenses by the Bank of Ghana. The petition, which was presented on the floor by Boko Central MP Mahama Yarga, faced some very stiff resistance from the majority as the Kwankwe Central MP Patrick Yabuama and Majority Chief Whip Frankano Dompre disagreed over it. things got a bit heated when the majority leader, Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, also waded into it and questioned the basis of admitting that petition. But the Speaker in return challenged the majority leader to quote relevant portions of the standing orders which prevent him, the Speaker, from admitting such a petition. We'll talk to you about the exchanges that went on between the majority leader and Alban Bagbin, the Speaker of Parliament. But Kwesi Bakar-Wilson is joining me from Parliament right now. Hello, Parker.
Hello, Gifty. Good to hear your voice.
Certainly it is. Parker, so let's look at the intriguing, dramatic development in Parliament. I've just read a bit of that, but tell us give us a mental picture of how it actually went down.
Okay, so Gifty, last Friday, it was advertised that this week, members of Parliament will consider the petition from the two individuals you mentioned, Dr. Dufour and Kofi Amwabin. Now, shortly after that, I spoke to the majority leader in an interview, and he was a bit shocked and surprised that the petition featured in the business statement for this week, because he thought that the conversation at the business committee meeting was for next week rather than not this week. So he said he was going to investigate that. But however, he raised questions about the admission of the petition, and he argued that, well, the matter is currently before court, and as a matter of fact, the two, that is Kofi Amwabin and Dr. Dufour, are seeking to pitch Parliament against the judiciary. And so for him, he doesn't understand why the Speaker admitted the petition in the first place. And as a matter of fact, he's going to have a conversation with the Speaker to see the way forward. So yesterday, we were all expecting the petition to be presented to the House, but unfortunately, it wasn't done because Parliament had a lot of issues to deal with. So today, on the order paper, it was advertised. So we're waiting for it when the Pokhwasa Central MP, Mahama Yaga, finally presented the petition before the House, read a few of the portions of the petition, and handed over a copy of the petition to the table office. Now, just as he finished, the Pokhwasa Central MP, Patrick Yabwa, was the first to raise concern. But unfortunately for him, the standing order upon which he wanted to object was the wrong one. And so the Speaker overruled and asked him to resume his seat and go and look for the proper standing orders to come and challenge the petition, if there is anything like that. Then the majority chief whip also rose to raise similar concern regarding the concerns raised by the majority leader last Friday. So the Speaker, in responding to him, indicated that, well, he's had a backroom conversation with the majority leader on this matter, and he doesn't understand why the NDC MPs are equally raising similar concern. So there, the majority leader then rose to now speak openly that since the Speaker mentioned his name, he is going to clearly also wade into the conversation. So there he insisted strongly that he disagrees with the Speaker and made the point again that the matter is before court. And so that was when the exchange started between the two. And the Speaker was clear in his mind that in the new standing orders, it has created provisions and exactly what to do with such petitions. But with what they are currently using, it does not prevent the Speaker from admitting such a petition. And he challenged the majority leader to quote relevant portions of the standing orders that prevent him, the Speaker, to admit such a petition. That wasn't done. And so it went on and on, back and forth for a while. And eventually, the Speaker then said to the majority leader that he, as a Speaker, has been a minority leader before. He's been a majority leader before. He's been a first deputy Speaker before. And now he is the Speaker of Parliament. And he has read thoroughly the petition and has no doubt in his mind that the petition merits the attention of members of Parliament. And that is why he is asking for a committee to be constituted to look into the matters raised by the two, that is Dr. Dufour and Kofi Amwabin. But the majority leader insisted that for him, he still disagrees with the Speaker and he believes it is not the way to go. Because what the Speaker is doing will set a bad precedent going forward, where any individual can walk to Parliament and present a petition knowing very well that the petition does not merit the attention of members of parliament. So eventually the speaker ordered him to resume his seat and ask him to quickly go and constitute the committee, a 7-member committee, 4 MPP members, 3 NDC members, to look at the issues and then report back to the House.
So what are they exactly, is this committee expected to communicate back to the House on? Is it the admissibility of this petition, or is it to actually look into the petition?
So they are actually looking into the petition. That was the understanding we got. And if you look at the petition, the request is clear. Investigate Bank of Ghana over the revocation of the license and restore SIM. So the question then again is, does Parliament have the powers to restore banking license to these individuals? That is the question we need to get answers from members of Parliament. And so we are waiting patiently for the report by the committee. In fact, the committee, we are told by the Speaker that they need to be in place before Parliament go on recess next week. And when they resume, that is when the committee will present a report to the House. So we are looking at give or take a little over a month issue when the committee will finally be done with the work and present their report to the House. That is when we'll know whether indeed the committee have recommended that Bank of Ghana should restore the license back to them or not.
Very interesting development there, Parker. Before you go, what else has been happening on the House? We understand that some approvals have taken place.
Well, essentially today, it's mainly been about the approval of the budget estimate for some of the sectors or the ministries. Parliament has approved the budget for the railway sector, railway ministry, the roads ministry, that's roads and highways, and also the transport ministry. So members of that committee were in the House today to debate the budget estimate. Largely, the concern has been that the budgetary allocation for this ministry is insufficient, and that they are asking government to even do more about it in the media review budget. But Haruna Idrisu has made a very strong point this afternoon that, in fact, he served notice that they are not going to support any attempt by government to cut the road fund. His argument is that the road fund is the reason we have so many uncompleted road projects in the country. And as a matter of fact, government should quickly do the needful by making sure that the road fund is properly catered for. And so the majority leader on the other side agreed with him. And he said that, well, because of this, we have to now increase road tolls to cater for all the concerns being raised by the majority. So largely today has been the budgetary allocation for these committees.
Parker, thank you so much. We look forward to the exchange between the majority leader and the speaker in our later bulletins. Kwesi Parker Wilson is my colleague there, a parliamentary correspondent in Parliament. Now, Deputy Minority Leader and MP for Futu, Honorable Afenyo Marken, says the minority caucus should be resolute and confront the extremist element in their party, as he put it, in order to come out of the political crisis he said they find themselves. Speaking on PM Express on the JoyNews channel, Honorable Afenyo Marken said that leadership of the minority must make strenuous efforts to educate their grassroots.
We have to control the extremists who try to impose their views on us as politicians. Because it won't take this country anywhere. And that's a crisis the NDC in Parliament is having now.
They have a crisis?
Sami Jenfi wrote, read every single line of that letter. When I first saw it, I thought it was some fake news. Until people said, look, this is Sami Jenfi. Read it well. And I think the time has come for the NDC leadership in Parliament to call off the bluff of the extremists who are operating outside their Parliament. The time has come for the leadership of NDC to be assertive in Parliament, be firm, and educate their extremists that this is not the way parliamentary politics is conducted. Because you see, we work with certain levels of certainty. We also concede that there are times that partisan principles will make it difficult for you. I've served in Parliament in opposition before, and I remember our leadership at the time telling us that, look, young men, we aren't going to be here forever. Yes, we know you've just come. The zeal is there.
Youthful exuberance.
The exuberance is there. But
In parliamentary politics, express your view, but don't hold hostage the fortunes of a government. They are running the state, let them go on, but express your disagreement. But you see, all of a sudden, the NDC machinery in parliament is becoming so weak. Now they are confused because what would the full soldiers say? How would they react? If I were to be Haruna Idrisu, I would just simply resign and leave the scene for them.
After marking there, the Member of Parliament for Boko Central, Mahama Yaga, however, disagrees. He says any attempt to downplay expectations of any party's grassroots will amount to treating them with disdain, and they cannot be described as extremists.
It is unfair to bash the so-called foot soldiers. These are citizens with a legitimate interest in how this country is run. These are people who toiled day and night to produce victors in parliamentary elections with some aspiration as what the victors should do when they go to parliament, which is to hold the government in check. And so to begin to look down on these people and assume that they lack the intellectual capacity to appreciate the rudiments of governance or what the proper public expectation should be is most condescending, in my opinion.
What about the
I think we should move away from that argument. Listen carefully. I think that in every instance, the so-called foot soldiers have a legitimate case why they think in certain ways. First and foremost, if you take the approval of the ministers, I mean, they had concerns that it wasn't just the foot soldiers, but civil society, people in the media, expressed the same concerns.
Mahama Yaga there also speaking on PM Express last night with Evans Mensah. Now, the Pokhwasa Interchange may be a solution to the perennial traffic congestion in the Accra-Kumasi Highway, but it has worsened the water situation for thousands of people who live in the area. The construction has limited the flow of the Sunkwa River, a water source that has for years supplied fresh water to many in the area hard hit by Accra's poor water supply system. In this week's series for the JoyNews Water Project marking International Water Day, Justice Bedu has this report.
The Pokhwasa Interchange is West Africa's first three-tier interchange, a multi-million-dollar mega project that is expected to open up this part of Accra that have for years suffered messy traffic congestion. In its shadows lie the forest. It is from here that the Sunkwa River finds its source.
This interchange has come to help Ghana and Pokhwasa, but it has caused the community not getting water.
The Sunkwa River is connected to Pokhwasa, its culture and its history in many, many ways. For years, it was the only source of drinking water for the village of Pokhwasa, as it then was. It has continued to be the source of water for many, many uses, for the thousands of people who have moved out of Accra itself into new neighborhoods like this one.
The Chinese company building the interchange has created a narrow gutter for the river. People who live here say that hasn't helped. The river's course of flow has been reduced in size, at least 3 times its original size. It has changed in color and taste since then.
The people depend on Sunkwa River. And now that they've constructed this interchange, the water has been polluted. So pipe-borne water now has become a problem.
This facility, once upon a time, was the main source of pipe-borne water for Pokhwasa, taking its source from the Sunkwa. For 2 years, it's been under lock and key, and the pipes that connect it to the river have been cut.
People go around looking for water. Water is life.
The impact of this is biting hard, and the people feeling the pinch are Pokwasa's most vulnerable.
Sometimes when private water sellers do not sell to us, we do not get water. We have to buy expensive water from tankers, and if you don't have money, like me, then you can't have water.
The Sunkwa forest is a stark reminder of the state of many water sources threatened by human development. In Pokhwasa, thousands of people are paying the price for the destruction it has suffered, and this may well get worse in the future. Justice Bedu, JoyNews, Pokhwasa.
And as we observe International Day of the Water, I guess that we all take care of the water that flows through our taps and in our homes. But I talked to you about the Pokhwasa Interchange itself. Work on it is 95% complete. That's according to the site engineer, Kwabena Bimpong, speaking on the status of the work to Mamavi Owusu-Aboagye. Mr. Bimpong indicated that traffic has greatly eased even before the project is completed and handed over. He's however worried if hawking and other forms of traffic infractions are not checked, the project will be of no use after all.
This is the Pokhwasa Interchange. For those of us who use the Accra-Kumasi highway every day, we can't wait for this project to finally be completed. It connects many places, in Sawam to Accra, Awoshi to Pokhwasa, Kwabena to Pokhwasa as well. We're almost getting to the end of this project. I see the end in sight. That's why I've come to speak to the site engineer Kwabena Bimpong, to give us an update of this project, which started sometime in 2018. It had quite a number of postponements, but thankfully it looks like we're getting to the end of it. So I want to say thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. This is the highest we can get, so explain where we are to us.
Well, thank you very much, Mamavi, and thank you for coming to see us, to visit us. The last time your guys were here, I told them that they were the first to be on top of the 4th tier of the Pokhwasa Interchange. Okay, so as you rightly said, we are on top of the 4th tier of the 4th tier interchange.
Okay.
And basically the 4th tier connects Awoshi to Kwabena through Pokhwasa. And the lowest tier is from Accra to Kumasi and Kumasi to Accra vice versa. In the same vein, we have 2 other tiers, and those tiers are for the interchange, and that's what brings up the name interchange. So if you were moving from Awoshi to Accra or Awoshi to Kumasi, you will use the 3rd tier. The 3rd tier, the right turn will take you to Accra, and the left turn will take you to Sawam or to Kumasi. In a similar vein, on the opposite side, when you are from Kwabena going to Kumasi or from Kwabena going to Accra, you use the other 3rd tier, which has the right hand and the left hand. Now, when you come a bit lower, then that will be for those who will be going from Accra to Awoshi. That will be the 2nd tier. That will be a left turn to Awoshi and a right turn to Kwabena. And the opposite side for those from Kumasi to Kwabena and from Kumasi to Awoshi.
I bet if you live on that stretch, you just can't wait. Well, what's happening in the world of sports? Gary Al-Smith is standing by with details. Do stay with us here on The Pulse.
Thank you for staying with us on Pulse. I'm Gary Al-Smith with the sports, and we are still building up to Ghana's AFCON qualifier with South Africa, and that will be before the one against Sao Tome and Principe. CK Akono is anticipating a difficult task against Bafana Bafana. That game will be on Thursday. Despite the difficulty expected, he is confident of a good performance without the core members of the playing body, including skipper Andre Ayew and his brother Jordan. Here's a report by Muftar Nabil Abdullahi.
The senior national team, the Black Stars, held their final training session ahead of their trip to South Africa to face Bafana Bafana on March Day 5 of the 2022 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Head coach of the team, CK Akono, will be without the services of influential players such as the Ayew brothers, Thomas Partey, and many others. However, he insists he prepared his team, knowing very well that they will not be available for the encounter slated for later this week.
At least today, we're sure of the squad. Everybody, has come, and so we prepared very well, adequately, knowing that the match ahead of us, a tough one, but we're very, very hopeful. Well, we were aware from the beginning, say, a bad day, one. Whether we'll be able to get them, we don't know, but we were aware that the possibility is there, we will not go with them, and so we prepared ourselves without them. Should they come in, it will be fantastic, but we are without them, and we've done so well in that area. We've worked, and so we don't have much of worries.
About 10 home-based players will be making the trip to South Africa for the qualifier. Akuno says he is willing to give players who ply their trade domestically the opportunity of playing for the national team.
I said from the beginning that I'm going to give the locals the chance, or the home-based players. Local is too much of home-based players, and I think it's clear. I think for a long time now, we've not had this amount of numbers, and so I'm very, very happy that we've been able to achieve that. Not just me, because the boys have also shown their qualities, and we've given them a fair chance.
The Black Stars could book a ticket to next year's AFCON should they secure a win come Thursday.
Hans Mensando is in the studio here with me to look at what we should expect. Meanwhile, South Africa themselves are not immune to the COVID crisis. The only foreign-based player in the South African Cup is Percy Tau, who plays in the Premier League as well. So it's not just Ghana, Hans, who are facing it. All across Africa, big players.
Globally, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of big players are going to be missing out. But it's not an ideal situation we find ourselves in right now. You want your best players available for every qualifier, whether the AFCON qualifier, whether the FIFA World Cup qualifier. So, in one breath, I'm happy that we began preparations early because we sort of anticipated this.
Yeah.
In another breath, I'm unhappy because of the way things have gone, the chopping and changing, players being moved from team to team and all of that. That destabilizes the team a bit. It doesn't also inspire confidence among fans because you really don't know what is happening. One moment this player is with the main Black Stars, the next moment they say he's been moved to Black Stars B. Issues about players that people feel shouldn't be in the team. The reasons given by the FA, yes, may be sound, but then again, it is high time we set a clear criteria as to how we are going to be calling up players into the senior national team. Ghanaian football fans deserve to know. We all deserve to know. It helps in transparency because you look, what the current regime does is that it feeds a certain perception that people at the FA, are pushing their own agenda in terms of getting their own players into the national teams and things like that. If the criteria is clear, when a coach calls up a player and we look at the criteria and the player doesn't meet that criteria, everybody sees it, but a player has to be called up, somebody has to do a whole job of defending why a player has been called up. I don't think that, is something that we should be having at this moment in time. We say we are building the team. CK Akono was tasked with rebuilding the team. If you look at the key players in this team currently, I think it's a bit worrying that we've had to fall back on the likes of Mubarak Wakasu and co to see ourselves through these qualifiers. We are supposed to be playing for the next generation of Black Stars team. But at this moment, the players, we've thrown that plan out of the window and, we are sort of clutching on straws just to be able to qualify. Now, once we qualify, what next?
Do you have a feeling the 2 games, can we qualify? A lot of people feel that after the qualify, we will.
You see, I don't like to be comfortable in that sense that when it comes to the AFCON, it's almost a given that we are going to be qualified. Look, you have to play to qualify. Every other team that you're coming up against wants to qualify. And so you have to respect the other teams in that group. You can't sit there and say that, well, it's the AFCON, we can qualify. If it came down to using local-based players, remember we began preparation with an entirely, local-based players.
So basically, with what we have,
we should be able to see off at least Sao Tome and Principe. Not too sure about South Africa with what.
And we need 3 points.
We do.
That's all.
We do, but
all we need are 3 points.
Can we, with the team that we have and the way preparations have gone? I'm not too comfortable with it, but I'm just hoping that we'll be able to. Look, the South Africans are serious. We don't appear to be serious about this. And again, it's probably because we feel it's the AFCON qualifier. When was the last time we didn't qualify for the AFCON? 2004. We've qualified for every AFCON since. Probably also made multiple World Cups as well. We are beginning to, be complacent in the way we prepare for these tournaments.
Right, so that game will be on Thursday. There'll be live commentary from 4 p.m. on Joy FM. Meantime, though, that's the sport. We have more later this evening. I'm Gary L. Smith.
Well, that's it for the Hot Talk, but let me take you through the stories on myjoyonline.com. That's, gaining a lot of traction. You want to take a look at that story. Man allegedly murders girlfriend, attempts suicide. At least that's the theory that the police in the Volta region is working with now. That's been one of the biggest stories. Also, rejected Dreadlock Achimota school student to seek admission elsewhere, according to lawyer. That's also one of the stories trending. In new taxes, a result of NPP's mismanagement, not COVID-19, according to Muhammad Yariga from last night's PM Express. You'll also find the story about the Rastafarians that, according to Angel Kabonu, the president of Nagrat, should set up their own schools in Ghana. You want to take your time and read that story and get the reasons he puts behind that position. And Dr. Steve Mantea says, we haven't managed our mineral revenues very well. That comes with a picture of him as well. That story has also been read very widely. I want to take your time and click on those stories, and we have all of the handles on those stories. You can just click any of them and share it with the rest of your friends so they can know what is happening. My name is Gifty Andopia. That's it for the Pulse today. Let's do this again tomorrow. Many thanks for your time.